A deep-sea research vessel tracking ancient Spanish shipwrecks inside the Bermuda Triangle unexpectedly captured symmetrical stone structures resting 700 meters below the surface. This high-definition sonar data did not reveal a decaying wooden hull, but instead exposed massive stone blocks with razor-sharp edges and perfectly flat surfaces arranged in a calculated, repeating sequence. The absolute darkness of the ocean floor hid a geometric layout so massive that human deep-sea machines looked like microscopic toys beside it. Join us and let's discover deep-sea discoveries that should not exist. Let's go.
Number 13. Cuba Sonar Anomaly. A government-contracted survey vessel scanning the western coast of Cuba registered geometric readings that shattered all normal geological parameters. The side-scan sonar system works by firing high-frequency acoustic waves down to the seabed, measuring how the signal bounces back to construct a highly detailed relief map. Soft ocean sediment absorbs sound waves and produces dark regions on the monitors, while dense solid matter reflects the energy to create intensely bright shapes. When the acoustic beams mapped this specific sector, the screens illuminated long, parallel lines and perfect right angles spaced out at identical intervals. Geologists instantly suspected a technological glitch or a calibration error inside the tracking console, prompting the crew to recalibrate the equipment and execute 5 separate tracking passes from entirely different directions. Every single sweep returned the exact same visual layout, revealing distinct, sharp shadows cast directly behind the elevated structures. Sonar shadows only materialize when a physical object rises abruptly above the surrounding flat terrain, blocking the acoustic waves like a wall cutting off light. The sheer repetition of these parallel outlines eliminated the possibility of a random sensor artifact or a temporary data processing error. The data verified that something massive, dense, and unnaturally geometric was resting on the seabed, forcing researchers to send a machine into the abyss to confront the dark reality face to face.
Number 12. Cuban megaliths. A heavy remote-operated vehicle plunged 700 meters into the total darkness of the Atlantic Ocean to visually record the anomalous sonar targets. At this crushing depth, the ambient water pressure exceeds 70 times the atmospheric conditions at sea level, meaning any structural failure would instantly implode the machine and trap it forever. The control room grew dead silent as the vehicle descended past the sunlight zone into a frozen environment where natural light has not penetrated for millions of years. When the high-powered white floodlights cut through the dense water column, the camera feed exposed gigantic rectangular blocks made of polished white granite. These megaliths featured smooth, clean surfaces and straight edges that looked deliberately cut, showing almost zero signs of the heavy mud buildup or typical deep-sea sediment accumulation. Several blocks were stacked directly on top of each other, forming elevated walls and wide pathways that stretched beyond the reach of the illumination system. Ocean currents naturally scatter breaking debris in random directions, rather than stacking immense stones into organized, repeating alignments. Mainstream scientists argue that extreme tectonic activity or natural geological jointing over millions of years can fracture limestone into deceptive block shapes. Yet the sheer scale of these polished granite segments left the engineering crew completely stunned. But massive geometric structures were not isolated to the Atlantic, as another team thousands of miles away found an identical engineering pattern carved directly into solid bedrock.
Only 1% of people know the dark truth behind what we are about to show you next. If you want to be part of the few who actually know what's happening in the world, subscribe and leave a like right now. Done? Look at this.
Number 11. Yonaguni Monument. A dive instructor scouting for hammerhead shark migration routes off the coast of Japan stumbled upon a colossal stepped pyramid submerged just below the surface. This massive sandstone structure features clean terraced platforms, sharp right angles, and straight vertical walls that resemble an ancient amphitheater carved directly into the ocean floor. The main monument measures over 150 meters in length, then rises 26 meters from the sea floor, making it roughly the size of a modern multi-story concrete building. Conventional geologists claim the entire site is a natural formation, shaped by strong oceanic currents and wave-induced fracturing along directional fault lines. They argue that sandstone cleaves along straight planes, creating deceptive geometric steps without human intervention. Marine builders counter this by pointing out a pair of perfectly circular holes carved deep into the rock, alongside a straight, narrow trench that encircles the entire base. Ocean waves cannot carve isolated cylindrical holes or sharp, right-angled drainage channels into solid stone while leaving the surrounding rock untouched. The presence of two identical parallel monoliths standing upright at the edge of the structure strongly indicates deliberate planning rather than random erosion. The site remains a fierce battlefield between conventional geologists and alternative historians, while sonar scanners operating in a different frozen sea detected an anomaly that looks entirely mechanical.
Number 10. Baltic Sea Anomaly. A specialized marine salvage team using side-scan sonar to locate century-old shipwrecks discovered a massive circular disk resting at the bottom of the Baltic Sea. The object measures 60 meters in diameter and sits on a raised pillar, displaying striking geometric ridges, smooth internal runways, and sharp right angles that look industrial. Initial sonar scans revealed a long, disrupted trail carved into the seabed directly behind the disk, stretching for over 300 meters as if something heavy had crashed and slid across the floor. When divers descended into the freezing, low-visibility water to collect physical samples, their electronic equipment and satellite phones mysteriously short-circuited within a 200-meter radius of the object. Laboratory analysis of the recovered fragments revealed that the disk is composed of non-natural granitic materials mixed with high concentrations of iron, titanium, and manganese. Geologists argue that the anomaly is merely a glacial deposit dropped by retreating ice sheets during the last glacial period, explaining the presence of foreign rock types. Yet the presence of distinct 90-degree channels gouged into the top surface of the metallic disk defies standard glacial scratching patterns. The structural layout strongly resembles a mechanical component frozen in time beneath the shipping lanes. The refusal to sponsor further deep-sea tracking missions keeps this site an enigma, pushing researchers to look for answers in the shallower waters of the Caribbean.
Number 9. Bimini Road. Commercial pilots flying over the crystal-clear waters of the Bahamas noticed a perfectly straight, half-mile line of massive stone blocks neatly arranged on the shallow sea floor. Subterranean divers investigating the site discovered hundreds of oversized limestone slabs, some weighing several tons, tightly fitted together to form a uniform, paved highway. The stones feature square edges and smooth upper faces, resting on a bed of smaller leveling blocks that look exactly like the foundational techniques used in ancient Mediterranean arbors. Conventional geologists state that the road is a completely natural formation of beach rock, a dense type of limestone that fractures into clean rectangles when coastal coastlines shift. They claim that natural internal pressures split the rock bed over thousands of years, creating a deceptive mosaic pattern. Investigators challenge this explanation by highlighting that many blocks are precisely propped up by smaller support stones, a feature that nature cannot replicate through random wave movement. Microscopic analysis of the stones reveals that their mineral composition differs significantly from the underlying bedrock of the Bimini coast, meaning they were transported from elsewhere. The layout aligns perfectly with ancient coastal configurations exposed to the air over 10,000 years ago. The sunken highway remains visible from the air, but an even older stone settlement was recently pulled out from the violent coastal currents of India.
Number 8. Gulf of Khambhat Ruins. Oceanographers conducting routine pollution surveys off the western coast of India picked up astonishing sonar profiles showing two massive lost cities submerged 40 meters beneath the waves.
The acoustic imagery exposed a continuous line of geometric structures stretching for 5 miles along an ancient sunken riverbed, featuring distinct foundations, protective walls, and large granitic plazas. Marine archaeologists dredging the murky, high-current waters recovered an incredible collection of artifacts, including polished stone tools, pottery shards, fossilized human teeth, and pieces of hearth charcoal. When independent laboratories subjected the recovered charcoal fragments to rigorous carbon dating tests, the results placed the age of the organic material at over 9,500 years old. This timeline predates the oldest known cities of the Indus Valley Civilization by several thousand years, completely upending mainstream theories regarding the dawn of urban construction. Critics argue that the powerful marine currents in the Gulf naturally fracture regional rock layers into geometric shapes that falsely resemble ancient foundations on sonar monitors. They suggest the recovered artifacts were simply washed down from younger river settlements inland and mixed with older underwater stone formations. However, the discovery of intricately drilled stone beads proves an advanced population lived there before the ocean reclaimed the land, mirroring a chilling discovery hidden in American freshwater.
Lake Michigan Stonehenge. A team of underwater archaeologists searching for historical shipwrecks in Lake Michigan used advanced sonar to discover a strange circle of large stones standing 40 feet below the surface. The prehistoric monument consists of several massive boulders arranged in a distinct, intentional pattern that closely mirrors the megalithic stone circles found throughout Western Europe. The absolute shock came when divers photographed one specific stone and found a highly detailed, deep carving of a mastodon, an elephant-like creature that went completely extinct over 10,000 years ago. The petroglyph shows the clear outline of the animal's long tusks, massive head, and heavy body, etched directly into the dense rock surface using a sharp tool. Geologists suggest the stones were moved into this configuration by moving glaciers during the last ice age, a process that can occasionally dump heavy boulders in circular patterns. But glaciers cannot carve anatomically accurate images of extinct megafauna onto the sides of solid rock structures before dropping them into the water. The placement of the stones suggests the site was a major hunting camp or a sacred ritual ground built when the lakebed was completely dry land. The icy fresh water of Lake Michigan has preserved the ancient rock art, forcing researchers to reconsider human timelines. Much like the Mediterranean sediment, preserved a wealthy metropolis that historians thought was only a myth.
Number 6. Thonis Heraklion. For centuries, the ancient Egyptian port city of Thonis Heraklion existed only in classical texts, leading modern historians to believe the wealthy metropolis was a mythological fable. That assumption dissolved when marine explorers scanning the Mediterranean sea floor located massive ruins submerged under 30 feet of water, buried beneath thick layers of marine sediment. Divers excavated giant 16-foot granite statues of pharaohs, golden coins, bronze weights, and dozens of ancient shipwrecks preserved in the thick mud. The entire city sank rapidly into the sea during the 8th century due to a catastrophic combination of severe earthquakes, massive tidal waves, and soil liquefaction. The heavy clay soil beneath the huge stone temples instantly transformed into a liquid state under intense seismic pressure, causing the entire urban center to slide into the ocean. The quick burial under marine silt sealed the ruins away from oxygen and saltwater erosion, keeping the ancient carvings and hieroglyphics perfectly intact for over 1,000 years. Mainstream history accepts this sunken city because its architecture and historical context fit neatly into the known timeline of the Ptolemaic kingdom. The site acts as a physical reminder of how quickly a thriving superpower can be erased. Yet while entire cities make sense underwater, marine scavengers exploring a different Mediterranean shipwreck found a technological object that breaks every known rule of ancient engineering.
Number 5. Antikythera mechanism.
Sponge divers taking shelter from a violent storm off the coast of a Greek island discovered a 2,000-year-old Roman shipwreck filled with marble statues and luxury goods. Hidden among the corroded bronze artifacts was a heavily encrusted lump of metal that cracked open to reveal precisely cut interlocking gears, calibrated rings, and inscribed mechanical dials. X-ray tomography performed decades later exposed an astonishingly complex analog computer consisting of over 30 sophisticated bronze gears housed inside a wooden frame. The device was designed to track astronomical positions, predict eclipses with mathematical perfection, and follow the irregular orbit of the moon using a highly advanced differential gear system. Historians were completely paralyzed by the discovery because the metallurgical precision and mechanical complexity of this device were not seen again in human history until the development of European clockwork in the 14th century. The gears feature triangular teeth cut with absolute millimeter precision, requiring specialized manufacturing tools that supposedly did not exist during the Hellenistic period. The sheer existence of this functioning mechanical calculator proves that ancient scientists possessed engineering capabilities far beyond what modern history textbooks acknowledge. The object remains the only one of its kind ever recovered from the ancient world, leaving researchers desperately searching the ocean floor for the workshop that built it, while shifting our focus to a completely different civilization that lost its most corrupt city to the sea.
Known as the ancient Roman version of Las Vegas, the coastal resort city of Baiae was the ultimate playground for ultra-wealthy emperors, corrupt politicians, and elite citizens. The city was famous for its immense luxury villas, massive volcanic hot springs, and sprawling marble bathhouses built directly along the scenic shoreline of the Bay of Naples. The entire luxury resort sank into the ocean due to bradyseism, a unique geological phenomenon where the ground periodically rises and falls due to the filling and emptying of underground magma chambers. As the subterranean volcanic pressure dropped, the entire coastal shelf slowly subsided below sea level, submerging the marble palaces under 15 feet of clear saltwater. Today, underwater tourists can dive along paved Roman streets, swim past intact mosaic floors, and view marble statues covered in marine growth. The mineral-rich volcanic water has preserved the complex brickwork and hydraulic concrete structures, which actually grew stronger over centuries of exposure to saltwater. The site provides an incredibly detailed snapshot of Imperial Roman architecture, demonstrating the immense wealth and engineering prowess of a society that ignored the volcanic dangers beneath their feet. The geology of Naples swallowed Baiae slowly, but a completely different civilization left massive structures at the bottom of an Asian lake that defy all regional historical records. Fuxian Lake Pyramids. A submarine dive team testing deep-water acoustic equipment in China's second deepest freshwater lake detected a massive complex of stone structures covering an area of over 1 square mile. The high-definition sonar sweeps revealed a sunken city completely paved with flat stone slabs, featuring tall geometric walls, wide intersecting streets, and 3 colossal step pyramids. The largest pyramid rises over 60 feet from the lake floor, constructed from heavily carved limestone blocks that lock together flawlessly without any use of mortar or binding clay. Divers exploring the freezing pitch-black water recovered clay pottery and tools scattered across the flooded courtyards, later carbon-dated by regional universities to be over 2,000 years old. The massive architectural style of these steep terraced pyramids completely contradicts the traditional wooden and brick building methods utilized by the ancient Dian kingdom that ruled that specific region. Local legends speak of an advanced city that slid into the lake during a catastrophic seismic event, but the sheer scale of the stone blocks points to an unknown civilization with advanced masonry skills. The regional government restricted further diving expeditions to the site, allowing the deep underwater currents to slowly erode the sharp edges of the pyramids. This restriction leaves the true identity of the builders a total mystery, echoing a similar suppression of prehistoric artifacts dragged up from the freezing North Sea.
A vast landmass that once connected Great Britain to continental Europe was completely swallowed by the North Sea around 8,000 years ago due to rising sea levels.
This lost world, known as Doggerland, was a fertile landscape inhabited by prehistoric hunters, mammoth herds, and early human communities before a massive underwater landslide triggered a catastrophic tsunami. Commercial fishing trawlers dragging heavy nets across the shallow sea floor frequently pull up ancient human bones, carved flint tools, and massive carved wooden pillars. Marine geologists mapping the area have identified submerged stone alignments and deep pits that indicate the presence of large monument complexes hidden beneath the North Sea silt. The rapid rise of the ocean, driven by the melting of the ice sheets, completely submerged millions of acres of land, turning high hills into isolated islands before wiping them out entirely. The shifting sands of the North Sea occasionally expose these prehistoric hunting grounds, giving scientists a fleeting look at an ancient landscape that was entirely erased by climate change. The recovered artifacts prove that a thriving, complex society was completely displaced by the ocean, showing how vulnerable human populations are to rising waters. The discovery forces us to realize that the deep ocean hides extinct worlds, setting the stage for a solitary object captured near the frozen bottom of the Earth that defies every biological rule.
L-Tannin Antenna, a specialized Antarctic research vessel scanning the freezing ocean floor between South America and Antarctica, captured a photograph that sent shockwaves through the scientific community. At a depth of nearly 4,000 meters, where the immense water pressure would instantly crush standard steel hull designs, the camera illuminated a highly complex, symmetrical structure rising directly out of the flat ocean mud. The object features a straight central pillar flanked by a series of perfectly spaced geometric crossbars that branch out at precise 90-degree angles, ending in distinct spherical bulbs. The entire layout mimics a high-tech specialized radio antenna or an industrial telecommunications component, prompting intense speculation about an advanced technological origin on the seafloor. Mainstream marine biologists classify this bizarre object as a highly unique species of carnivorous deep-sea sponge called Cladorhiza concrescens. This organism utilizes its symmetrical branching appendages to catch microscopic nutrients floating through the deep underwater currents. The absolute geometric precision of the sponge's growth pattern perfectly demonstrates how biological life can evolve complex shapes that completely mimic advanced human engineering. The L-Tannin antenna remains one of the most striking visual anomalies ever captured in the deep ocean, leaving researchers to wonder how many other perfect geometric structures are waiting in the pitch-black abyss.
If you thought this was terrifying, you are not ready for what they found in the video on your screen. Click it right now. The truth is worse than you think.